Good day, everybody. Wrote an article for our local aquarium society a few days ago, maybe last week. Had a few people send me messages and just ask about it. The article itself was about the cost of setting up a saltwater tank. A lot of people were concerned about it. They're like, I'd always like to have one. I'm sure people viewing this might say, hey, I'd love to have this. The one you're looking at right now is my wife's tank. It's based loosely around the Florida flats, the Keys, but it could be really any tropical lagoon, I suppose, that you can put your feet in. Part of the thing is they were concerned, how much is it going to cost to set up? What special equipment am I going to need? What's going to be the monthly cost? What's going to be the down the road cost when I start adding things? Well, that last one I'm going to address first. You can be Elon Musk and probably run out of money building a reef tank. Let's just be honest. You spend what you want to spend on it. That'll determine that factor. As for the rest of it, well, this tank is just a 10-gallon Aqueon that you could pick up. Well, you can pick up a 10-gallon on $1 a gallon sale at any of your big box stores, so $10. You can get a nice cheap hang-on back filter for $20. I always suggest with a reef tank, any saltwater, put Chemipure-blue in it. That's about $10 for this tank, and that'll cover up to a 35-gallon. The sand, I try and tell people use the Arag-alive. It's already got the beneficial bacteria in it for you. You'll get another $20. Rock in this tank, again, about $20. I mean, some people would only go with 10 pounds. I've got it up to 20. Some of it came from my main reef tank because, well, it fell and I just wanted to put it someplace. Now, your RODI water, people get freaked out about. They're like, I've got to buy it from my local fish store, or I've got to make my own. Well, an RODI unit can cost you about $100. Pretty good one. Or you could go get your RODI water from Walmart. It's running about 99 cents a gallon last I checked. This tank's got 8 gallons of water in it, so there's $8. If you buy it at, say, a Walmart grocery store, any of them will have it. The next thing is your salt mix. Well, that could get expensive or cheap, just depends on what brand you want. I love to use Tropic Marin, but they're out right now. Pandemic shortage, I guess. Red Sea will run you about $30. But by the time you mix it up, you're probably looking at another $8, so $16, water and salt mix. You're definitely going to need a refractometer. That's going to run you $20. I suggest getting the calibration solution if you're first time. It'll run you about $5. Your light, well, you could get a cheap little light for $25. I mean, they'll, tank like this, it just really needs a grow light. This has got no corals in it. So a freshwater grow light worked perfectly fine. You see it on my shrimp tank all the time. That grows that tank like crazy. I'm constantly pruning it. And that was $16 for 2 lights at Walmart. That would go under your counter. 5,500K. Now you're going to need a pump for mixing it unless you want to sit there and stir and stir and stir, and that'll run you about $10. And of course a bucket for mixing. Get a clean one. Just go to a Lowe's and get one. $2. Heater, you're looking about $20, $30 depending on where you're at. Total all in, you're right about $185. That's of course without adding plants, fish, anything like that. But $185 to get going there. Hey, if you're in the hobby, it's even cheaper. Think about it. You've already got some of that stuff on hand. You've got the tank, you've got a filter. You've probably got rock. May not be the right time, but you got it. You're going to have a light. Probably a spare pump hanging around and a bucket. I mean, come on, if you're in a hobby, you've got a bucket. Heater, I don't know how many heaters I've got laying around. I'd say a hobbyist could easily be starting a saltwater tank for $70 to $110. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. Now, livestock is where it's going to get kind of expensive. I've got in this tank 2 clownfish. 2 tiger cowrie snails, 1 trochus, 20 periwinkle snails, 10 ceras. I got a cleaner shrimp, and there's 2 anemones. You can actually see one if you look for it real carefully. It's a mini maxi carpet anemone. He's actually right there. There's also a rock flower anemone that only comes out in the evening. He's at the bottom front of the tank. Okay, so I've got some life in here. I've also got the plants, and that's what my big goal was with this tank. Really make it look like those flats, and I remember them. They've got your turtle grasses. They've got all kinds of different plant life. I'd love to put a mangrove in here, and I'm probably going to in time. But for now, I've got chloropa, red dragon's breath, red gracilia, shaving bush, and a pencil cap. Cost for all the livestock and plants was under $150. I mean, come on, that's a good night out with family and friends. And some of you, I've seen your bar tabs. Now, this exact tank with everything in it, it's right about $600, but keep in mind, I did put a Kessel light on here. That's an A80. And I did go ahead and upgrade it to a canister filter. So I've got 250 of that $600. Well, that's in 2 pieces of equipment that I just wanted to do. Monthly maintenance. Now that's where this might surprise a lot of people. Change the poly filter at the very top of that canister once a month. Top off the tank with RODI water, but with a lid on this thing, I've got almost no evaporation, so RODI is going to last me months upon months. Electricity wise, including the water, if I was to mix it, a gallon a month, it's $2.75 to run this tank. I'm sitting here drinking some community coffee right now. That's $8.75 a bag. I would suggest getting some, by the way, their Mardi Gras king cake, good coffee. Now, again, it's not designed to be a coral reef. It's just a nice, fun, easygoing tank, one that I enjoy playing around with, looking at. My wife enjoys it. It's her tank. It's anemones. She likes her anemones. Hopefully we'll be getting some more soon. The clownfish are, well, they're clowns. They're, personality-wise, they are what they are. They're fun. The cowries that are in here, well, you can see one up at the top, sitting on top of the return. There's one actually crawling in front of the screen you can't see right now. Cleaner shrimp, yeah, he's in there. I can see him up there by the magnet. You can see the chloropa's taken over this tank, and that dragon's breath, that big, beautiful red dragon's breath, when I got that frag, it was 1 inch. I measured it this morning just for this video. It's 7 inches across, tip to tip. There's a little frag in front of it that when I started, it was a 1/4 inch, and in a week, I'd say it's grown about 1.5 inches. Hopefully one day I'll put those in my main reef tank. But for now, they're just hanging out there, and I really like them. She really likes it. The chloropa, it reminds me a lot of seaweed. So, you know, you're getting what you want out of a tank. I'm wanting this one to look like that. She wanted it to look like that. It's where you put your toes in the sand, down in the Keys. Okay, now that basically covers it. You can have this exact tank for $600. You can have a reef tank for tens of thousands of dollars. You could start this tank for $70 if you've already got the equipment. But let's get a little bit more into detail with this little tank here. You might be saying, how do I grow everything so healthy? I mean, I'm not doing water changes, and I do not. I have only done 1 water change on this tank in, what, 3 months? 3.5, I'd have to look at that for sure. Don't hold me to it. It doesn't need it. The plants in there keep the water very pristine. But I do have to take care of the plants to keep them that way. So what am I doing? Well, I'm dosing this with Chem products primarily. Chem Stability is getting 2 milliliters of it every day. I'll probably stop that at about the 6-month mark when I'm really sure that this tank's got the biological filtration system in there. I do dose it with Chem Flourish Advanced twice a week. I try and do that on Saturday and Wednesday. I do my maintenance on the tank every night, which is basically running the magnet across the glass. I did it today, that's why it's still in the tank. Another point while I'm on that, when you're not using your magnet, take it out of the tank. That way it doesn't get calcium buildup on it or anything else. You know, you don't want to scratch your glass. So just take it out, rinse it off when you're done, put it back in. Okay, so again, I was dosing 2 milliliters of Advanced twice a week. Now, iron I'm dosing every 3rd day. The dose on that is just 2 milliliters. It's really getting to the point with that you can see the growth and how really, really vibrant red it is. You need that iron. Next thing I do is I put in Acro Power, 1 milliliter once a week, right after water change. When I do my water change on Sunday for all my tanks, that's when I start adding stuff. That way I've got that built in. Now again, I'm not water changing this tank, but it's still the day I do it. If I found for me, if you have one set day a week where you do everything, it's hard to forget what you're doing. So that one set day, I always know this tank will get dosed. On that day, it's going to get 2 milliliters of stability, 2 milliliters of Advance. It's going to get the 2 milliliters of iron, and it's going to get the Acro Power. Okay? I know that one day a week, even if life gets really busy, and let's face it does, life can get extremely busy. That one day a week, I'm going to be able to come in here and dose this tank and make sure it's taken care of. I try and remember every night, but let's face it, life gets busy. So that one day, Sunday for me is water change day. I do my discus tank, I do my shrimp tank. Now my reef tank, I've actually got that where I'm only doing it once a month. That's 2 gallons, which is really cool. Everything's responding good in that tank. I'm just real happy how it's going all the way around. I'll do a video on that shortly. Anyway, you can see how this tank looks now. What are my water parameters is some of the other questions I get. Everybody's chasing numbers, it seems. It just is what it is in the hobby. I'm kind of old school that if you take care of the tank and get it really going, it'll take care of itself. But I did test today just to let everybody know. The only 3 things I test for are ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. Once a month, I will check my pH. Tip, go to Lowe's and they've got test kits that will tell you what your pH is. They're in the pool department. They're also going to tell you a whole bunch of other things. I don't have it handy or I'd show it to you, but it was cheap. Anyway, my ammonia is 0. The nitrite is 0. Nitrate is sitting right around 2.0 ppm. I've seen it on day of dosing go up to 5 parts per million. Specific gravity on this tank is sitting at 1.025 at the moment. And I've seen it do a little bit of fluctuation between 2.4 and 2.6. So, by and large, I don't worry about fluctuations like that. I don't worry if I see my pH go up or down as long as it's not out of control. And I've learned that your tank will equalize itself out as long as you're not sticking your hands in it. How many times have you heard that in videos? Don't put your hand in the tank. It's true. I try not to put my hand in here. This thing goes through changes once in a while because, well, one of my clownfish likes knocking things over and around. I think I've got it glued down enough now where he won't. I wasn't wanting to glue this tank, but it's glued now. Other than that, pretty simple. So if you've ever wanted a saltwater tank, they're not that expensive. Really under $600 for this complete setup, and that's on me because of the plants I wanted, the fish, you know, the snails, whatever. If you go in and put just this tank together, say, okay, I want 1 clownfish, and you're happy with that, it's going to be a lot cheaper. If you go in there and start looking at this and go, yeah, I'd like to get the anemones and I'd like to get corals, and yeah, it's going to be a lot more expensive. It's all in what you put into it. But for me, this tank's beautiful. My wife truly loves it. It's really got her into the hobby, and I've seen it relaxing her, and I think that's the greatest thing about our hobby. It's relaxing. You could sit in front of this tank, even doing this video, and I'm rambling a little bit here, but think about it. Look what you're looking at. This is basically like being down in the Keys. If I had some wave sounds playing, that would be even better. I know my TV in the other room's got Floyd going, which, hey, always love that. But anyway, I hope you all have a really good weekend. Enjoy this video. Maybe it might get you into saltwater tanks. Who knows?